For this video, we're going to be looking at the Week 9 Fantasy Basketball Sell High and Buy Low Players. Before getting into the video, I do want to say this quickly that right now with so many NBA players entering protocols because of COVID-19, it is very sad, but fantasy basketball has become more complicated where technically it's just a matter of luck whether your players are healthy, of course, or not. Let's just hope in general things get better going forward. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a very special episode of ezBUCKETZ Fantasy Basketball. My job here on this channel is to help you guys win your fantasy basketball leagues. So of course, I post weekly fantasy basketball updates. So if you're new, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications to not miss any of my upcoming videos. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Soom and I'm a fantasy basketball expert. I love sharing with everybody my thoughts, my experience in fantasy, so of course, this is why I'm here. Of course, if you want fantasy basketball support on a one-on-one level, where I give you guys advice about trades, roster advice, waiver wire advice, anything about fantasy basketball you guys can ask me. Go check out my Patreon page down below, all the information will be there. But without wasting any more time, let's talk about the Week 9 Buy Low and Sell High Players. The first category we're going to be talking about is Buy Low Players for Week 9. And on this list, I got 6 players. I'm putting Luka Doncic, Chris Middleton, Bradley Beal, Robert Williams, Devin Booker, and of course Spencer Dinwiddie. The biggest highlight so far is Luka Doncic. Luka, ever since the beginning of this year, has not lived up to top 3 fantasy value. He's definitely top 20 in my opinion, but of course, we've drafted him as the 2nd pick or even the 3rd pick. But this year, under Jason Kidd, he has not been the same player we used to see him over the past 3 seasons. He's not getting triple doubles on a nightly basis. The Dallas Mavericks aren't successful with Luka being the main point player. But on top of that, Luka is dealing with the right ankle injury. Right now, owners are getting kind of worried, kind of stressed, but honestly, I do believe during the end of the season, Luka will pick it up as a potential MVP candidate, so buy him low right now. Then we got Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton has been playing great so far, but of course during the beginning of this year, he got hit with COVID, then came back, put up some decent numbers, but then once again, apparently hurt his knee. I do believe though, from what we're hearing, it is not a serious injury. So of course, get Chris Middleton right now before we get news that his injury is perfectly fine. Bradley Beal is in the same situation as Luka Doncic. Since the beginning of the year, Bradley Beal has not lived up to first round value in fantasy sports. He is not scoring plus 27 points per game, only averaging 22, and the Wizards are playing well even with Beal not being a top player. But honestly, sooner or later, as the Wizards want to execute a good end of the season, Beal's got to be great. Robert Williams, we drafted him in the top 75 rounds, expected him to be an amazing Rudy Gobert type center for the Boston Celtics, and of course under the new coach, he hasn't been that kind of player. But right now, with them focusing a lot on him at the 5 and of course Al Horford at the 4, Robert Williams has to pick it up. Robert Williams just has to stay healthy. Then we got Devin Booker. Oh boy, Devin Booker has been out for the past 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury, and so far we are not getting any news about a potential return. But hopefully Booker is going to be back very soon. And with that being said, right now, while owners are impatient, get him for a cheap price. I assume when he gets back, I do believe it'll be a great comeback, as the Suns right now are fighting for the 1st seed in the Western Conference. Then we got Spencer Dinwiddie, one of the most disappointing players this year so far. Right now, he's only averaging about 12 points per game and 5 assists, and is not living up to expectation. But sooner or later, as the Wizards figure out their backcourt situation, Dinwiddie and Beal should pick it up soon. Moving on to the Sell High Players, I got Andrew Wiggins, Gordon Hayward, Desmond Bane, Terrence Ross, Anthony Simons, Dennis Smith Jr., and Marcus Morris Sr. on the Los Angeles Clippers. Andrew Wiggins will always be on my list until Klay Thompson comes back, and we just got news that Klay could be returning as early as December 28th. So right now, you have to be very aggressive in trying to trade away Andrew Wiggins. Then we got Gordon Hayward, who just dropped 41 points for the Hornets. Of course, over the past couple of weeks, there has been no Terry Rozier, no LaMelo Ball, so Hayward has been pretty good. So sell him high right now until everybody gets back, then of course his value drops to normal value. Desmond Bane has been killing it without Ja Morant, but sooner or later we got news that Ja Morant is going to make an early return, so trade Desmond Bane, even Tyus Jones before Ja comes back. Terrence Ross has been feasting without Jalen Suggs, playing plus 30 minutes a game, averaging about 16 points. But of course, Terrence Ross can't keep this up forever, so trade Terrence Ross away right now. Sell him high because you probably picked him up off the waiver wire, so of course maybe add him in 2-for-1 deals. Same thing for Anthony Simons and Dennis Smith Jr. We got news that CJ McCollum is going to be re-evaluated in 1 week, and with that being said, CJ McCollum's injury could be a return sooner than later. So of course, trade them now while they're putting up some decent numbers and are active. And Marcus Morris Sr. has been averaging about 17 points per game because no Paul George has been active, and of course Kawhi. So right now with Marcus Morris being the go-to scorer without Paul George, trade him before Paul George comes back because Paul George just soaks up a lot of usage. So yes guys, this wraps up my video for today, talking about the Week 9 buy low, sell high players for fantasy basketball. Once again, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Soom and I'm a fantasy basketball expert. My job here is to help you guys win your fantasy basketball leagues. So if you want personal one-on-one advice, personal one-on-one fantasy basketball support, go check out my Patreon pages down below. All the information will be there. But other than that, take it easy, God bless, and I'll see you all next time on Easy Buckets. Woo!